In America, Mike Johnson has been elected Speaker of the House of Representatives, ending weeks of chaos and Republican infighting on the Capitol Hill. The conservative Louisiana lawmaker won with 220 votes in the lower chamber of Congress. Johnson is the fourth Republican nominated for the position since Kevin McCarthy's ouster, October 3rd. However, the previous nominee, Minnesota Tom Emmer, abruptly dropped out of the race on Tuesday after about 4 hours. Addressing the House after the vote, 51-year-old Johnson promised that the first bill he would introduce would be in support of Israel, one of the few areas of bipartisan agreement. And of course, joining me to discuss this is Otunba Olabode Osenie, a political and public affairs commentator. Thank you so much for your time.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me.
Now, what are the key political implications of Mike Johnson's election as the new Speaker of the U.S. House, and how will this impact legislative priorities and dynamics in Congress?
Well, the thing is, this 51-year-old Republican is a staunch supporter of Donald Trump. He's like a kind of a person that probably is a chosen one to make up for the dysfunctionalities of the Republican since after the drop of McCarthy and Jordan tried and all. So he is like also a kind of a person that has more interest in the Middle East, in supporting of Israelis than the support for the Palestinians. But then again, you have to understand that America is one of the staunchest supporter of the Middle East, and one of his preoccupation is going to see that the budget, to rally around to get the amount of money Joe Biden will need to push into the war in supporting Israel. So these are going to be, apart from the other promises he made, that is going to improve on the governance, and especially that most of the Americans who are now complaining that they don't like that. So I think he has a lot to do, but with the support of his GOP, I think the road is not all that bad. He stands to good chance.
Now, let's talk about Mike Johnson's leadership style and political ideology compared to his predecessor. What changes in the House approach, particularly to governance, should we anticipate under his watch?
First thing first, here we have a guy who he has no experience in governance compared to McCarthy. And also, I must also say that Jim Jordan also has never taken part. I mean, he has taken, but he has never. There's no any acts or any bill in his name compared to Jordan. Jordan is more kind of a proactive person, but he's also a moderate. He's anti a couple of things that many people will not like. He's anti-abortion. He's also anti-LGBT, and but he's a very active guy. He can get the job done. But most importantly, we need to understand that the support is going to get on the floor of the House will also make him to be able to work nicely with the government.
Now, what are the public's expectation of the new speaker, especially amongst the American electorate?
Well, do not forget that when you look at the cycle of election, every 2 years for the House of Representatives, I think another 1 year or two, there's going to be another election. The expectation of the public is to see that someone who will take their interests at heart, that will work for them. And he has made that promise that he's going to do all his best to make sure that America gets a more improved governance. But also do not forget that it's only this time around that the opposition in the House, the Democrats, will have to choose to work to choose with him to get a couple of things done and certain things they don't want, they will have to have a kind of arrangement to make sure that their way they achieve their goals in providing good governments to the people. Because in Europe, especially in America, everything is about the people. It's not about anybody. It's a kind of a governance from bottom to top. And whatever they do, they are conscious. They are very, very aware that people, if the people are not happy with them, they can be thrown out. So he must also do everything possible to keep the majority, and also, very importantly, he is not in support of the war, I must say, because the America will probably also want to put so much money to funding war in Ukraine. And I think it's an area where Joe Biden might be having problem to get him to do that. Because do not forget also that he's more or less the third in line in presidency in America. Most of also what he says is very, very important. It's a very powerful position he has. So I hope and pray that with cooperation, with the way they're working together, that might help him to achieve his goals.
All right. Otunba Osenie, before I let you go, given the current political climate and the challenges facing the nation, what are the main issues and policy areas where the speaker, that's the new speaker, Mike Johnson, is likely to focus his efforts? And how will this shape the broader political landscape?
Let me repeat. The way the politics of America is quite different from some other countries. When you look at, there are so many areas diverging, there's so many areas. Take example, for example, the issue of abortion. It varies from one state to another. You look at the issue of funding, taking American money to be spent outside. Not many GOP are in support of everything Democrats support, and that's the problem. But then his position is one that he hasn't got all that experience, so that can affect him, because directly or indirectly, he's not probably going to get everything right, and that is where experience talks. So he will do everything possible, but again, do not also forget that interests of the GOP might not most of the time be the same. So if he starts a kind of a business he cannot finish, he might also lose out, because there will be inter-party votes in the Congress, and he may not necessarily get everything he wanted to do.
All right.
So we need to look at and watch out how Mike Johnson, the new guy for the GOP, and I'm very happy for GOP, because they are now, at least they can now turn around and say, well, there's a peace of mind. They have somebody they can work with.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Otunba Olabode Osenie, political and public affairs commentator. Once again, thank you.
I want to thank you too for having me.